Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Stitching Tales, the first episode of 2025. I am Johanna Lundström, the author of several sewing books, including Sewing Jeans and Master the Cover Stitch Machine. And I also have my own sewing pattern lines and other things under my brand name, The Last Stitch.
And my name is Malena Hjerpe, and I work as a pattern maker, a freelance pattern maker. And I also sell my own PDF patterns under the name Hazelhen Patterns.
And today's our first episode, as I mentioned in the introduction here. We are now back to a regular podcasting schedule. We are coming out every Tuesday on all your favorite podcast platforms, and of course also on Mondays already. You can see the video version of this pod we find on our YouTube channel, Stitching Tales Pod. And if you're watching the video version, you can see that I'm actually not in my usual space. You're actually getting a brief look at my home because I'm sitting in my desk today. I normally record this in my sewing studio, but I have some very exciting package delivery. As we left off last season, if you remember, I had one goal basically in 2025, and that was to get 100,000 subscribers on YouTube.
And what happened, Johanna?
Yeah, I managed to reach that goal. And not only that, I managed to publish a new YouTube video in order to qualify. And why, you may wonder, listening to this podcast, why is such a number such an important thing? Well, so of course it's a big flex to have 100,000 subscribers. That's like an amazing accomplishment. And I started my YouTube channel 9 years ago, so it's been a long journey. But the thing is that YouTube still awards creators that reach certain milestones with like physical awards, which is in my case a silver play button. So it's like a plaque that you can put on your wall with the brand name The Last Stitch, and it's like looks like a YouTube button with that little play icon, the triangle. And right now, as I'm recording this, I'm waiting for FedEx to deliver the placket. So maybe we have to interrupt the podcast.
So if Johanna is all of a sudden leaving your studio and rushing to the door, we know why.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I'm sitting at home, because everyone knows, you probably know, you get this kind of delivery, especially here in Sweden, all the companies, they give they provide very little information on exactly when they will arrive. And if you fail to be at that spot at exact minute, they're going to make it a huge hassle to get the packet again. So basically you're going to be bound to your address for another day, hopefully, and then they might change the date. So it's not really done for like, modern living. I mean, obviously you have to be maybe at your day job. I mean, it's just a complete thing.
This is the thing, like when it's like so beneficial to have your own company and be a little bit flexible. If I'm gonna be physically at work or work from home, like we can do that. We can choose where and how to work. But yeah, for someone who needs to be physically on the job, how? Like, come on, it's so annoying with these deliveries. Like, how is it not possible to do it better?
Yeah, I don't understand that either. I mean, some of them more like there has come like a lot of competition, because I'm talking most like FedEx and UPS and DHL, those like old school delivery company. Now there, of course, with all the rise in e-commerce, there's a lot of other providers, and they usually give more options where you can pick a certain time slot, maybe a 3-hour time slot in the evening. Or you can also say that, no, I don't want to pick it up at home. Can you please place it at the delivery box or delivery place so I can go and pick it up when I am actually available. But you know, these old companies, they don't work that way. At least not here in Sweden. I mean, not a fan. I mean, they charge a lot, and they provide less than stellar service, in my opinion. You pay more than you get, for sure.
Yeah, so annoying. But congratulations
to
your big milestone. It's like perfect timing as well, just before the end of the year. It's like, yes, you reached it.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks, I think, before the new year. Then I had to go like through like a manual vetting so it doesn't like automatically send these. So someone in YouTube is gonna check my channel and see that it holds up to certain standards, and that's why I was so stressed, because I am not maybe the most productive YouTuber at the moment. So you have to upload new videos within 6 months to show that you have a active channel. And did I have that? Of course not, because the last time I uploaded was in May. So I just like did a really like quick video. So I managed to upload a new video as well, where I talked about some tips on how to use household items for sewing, and it went really well, and I got a lot of traction from it. So I've got over 6,000 views in just a few days. So I was like, wow. I mean, it's funny. I'm always happy that someone is still out there watching my stuff. So,
well, that's why you have subscribers. People notice them when you have something new. So that's the point of it.
Yeah. So
but that's amazing. Do you already have a new goal, or are you just gonna be in celebration mode for a while now?
I mean, it's a good question. I mean, I have 2 big projects this year, obviously. First, I'm trying to finish the video course, and then I'm going to start working on our mutual book. So I don't really have that right now, but I think it was very helpful to have that kind of goal, because it kind of, in my mindset, it does help you to do that extra work, I think. And it's so hard because YouTube, you spend so much time and energy, and it's short term you don't see much reward, but then it's like all of a sudden, I mean, I think it's a good example of how to be persistent, how incredibly important that is for to succeed, to be, I mean, it's very easy to get discouraged if you put up a video and you maybe get like 100 views or something like that, and maybe you feel like maybe this is not your stuff. But I think with in my case, I mean, I've done over 200 videos, and I'm very happy to say that finally it's getting some traction in that way. It's just a slow build, and that means I have published video semi-regular for 9 years. So yeah, not an overnight success for sure.
But that's a lot of, and I actually had an idea. I don't remember where I got the inspiration from this idea now. But I mean, we always talk what on our podcast, what subjects we are gonna have. My library of blog posts is like this teeny tiny, but your blog post library and YouTube films library, those are huge, and there are so many good things there. So like, what's your top 3 blog posts? What's your top 3 videos on YouTube? And let's talk about those in future episodes, because I guess like that's the popular opinion. Like, what has been most searched for? What are people? What do sewists want to know? So I think those can be really great topics for a future episode. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a really good idea. And we had touched on a few of those before, but yeah, definitely. It's a big one. Interesting thing, actually, one of my best performing videos these days is actually how to do blind hem stitching on a sewing machine. That's a very specific topic, but apparently a lot of people are struggling with that. And I've done both, a lot of several YouTube tutorials and also blog posts on that topic that are performing really, really well. So it's interesting. Sometimes you think that's such a specific topic, but obviously, those specific things are usually what we are struggling the most, I think, in a way.
But those are the things we are searching for, like how to do those. It's not the most common thing to do. And also if people are sewing more knits and a little bit more dressier knitted garments, then the blind hem stitch is a perfect option. And also with like a thicker fabric. So, I mean, I can understand that it's become more popular, a popular search.
Yeah, so those are, we're definitely gonna try to figure out some new interesting topics, and of course we always love to get your suggestions. So definitely drop us a comment either on our Instagram account Stitching Tales Pod, or on our YouTube channel Stitching Tales Pod, or you can also email us at stitchingtalespod@gmail.com. And we love to do these Q&A episodes, and we do have a few questions lined up for future one. We'd love to get more topic suggestions, because it's so interesting. Because when you think how many episodes can you do about sewing? Endless amounts, right? It's actually endless amount. But sometimes you need to get that first idea, and then you can start going. And we realize also that we can talk for an hour about incredibly specific topics. We have done that in the past.
Yeah, it was amazing how much can you talk about sewing a dart on in knitted fabrics, but apparently a lot.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, so, I'd love to hear what. What are your listeners? What do you want to? What do you want us to talk about?
Absolutely. And we should also say, because we definitely plan to keep on doing the podcast as well, and we should just put out a small ask right now, Malena. We have something to ask you guys that are listening to this pod.
Yeah, if you would take your time and to write a review or rate us on wherever you are listening to this pod, that would be so much helpful for us to reach newer listeners as well, so we can spread the word about this podcast. So we would really appreciate if you have the time to do that.
Yeah, that would be super, super helpful. And you can do that on Spotify and on iTunes, and maybe some other podcast apps as well. But I think those, if you look at the most used podcast apps, those are the ones for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah,
because we want to keep on doing this. It's I think it's just so much fun to have this chat every week. So I definitely want to continue doing it.
Yeah, same, and it's been so helpful, and we learned so much as well. I mean, I think also the fact that we just talk to each other like this has been super helpful as well. Just like learning new things from each other, and also from the questions that we get and everything. So we're gonna keep on Stitching Tails. Pod is going nowhere right now.
And it's a good therapy hour for us as well.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest.
Yeah, because we already had some therapy about my irks with those delivery services.
Yeah, it's a good place to vent, and hopefully people can relate to it. But we are coming off from holiday now. We have had a little bit of a holiday break. How has your holiday been?
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. Because I live in the southern part of Sweden, so no snow, only rain and grey skies, as it's supposed to be here in Gothenburg, where I live. I live on the west coast, which is known for its bad weather in the wintertime. But yeah, I had a really wonderful holiday season with my family. It was a little bit spread out like it is, because I have I had two daughters that are grown up, and they no longer live in Gothenburg. They live in northern Sweden, where further up north, just like you, Malena. But they were home for Christmas, and so we spent that on the day after Christmas Day. I don't know what it's called. Is it Boxing Day? No.
Yeah,
maybe it's Boxing Day. Yeah. So I spent the actual Christmas, because in Sweden we spend the holidays on Christmas Eve, right, the 24th.
Yeah, that's the big day for us.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just the traditional stuff. Some people have trees, and you give each other packets, and you eat a lot of food, which is the traditional Swedish way of celebrating Christmas. And then so my mom came here, and so we actually did some quite fun. Because as we didn't spend Christmas on Christmas Eve, we did a really fun thing, because here in Gothenburg, one of those small indie cinemas, they have like free movies the entire day from like mid-morning until late in the evening. And it's a wonderful spot for everyone that has no particular Christmas plans to just go there, and they serve glögg, which is like glühwein, or like it's usually alcohol-free, but it's like a spiced, sweet connotation, sometimes with wine, and sometimes it doesn't have alcohol, and gingerbread. So we didn't watch movies, and then we went out to eat, and we had a really lovely Christmas Eve. And then on Boxing Day, we had the actual Christmas celebration, where, I made lots of food, and, I both my mother and I and one of my daughters is mostly vegetarian. We eat a little bit of fish, but for the most part, it was like doing like a vegetarian version of the Christmas, because it's a bit kind of meatful. There's a lot of meat, like meatballs and stuff like that, and ham. So it's a kind of meat heavy traditional feast here in Sweden normally. But you can find some ways of eating vegetables as well if you try really hard, and some lox and things like that. So it was a wonderful, very relaxing, small Christmas, very unstressful. It's very informal way of celebrating. We don't do much traditions apart from that. It's mostly just a way to meet up and hang around and eat food and just talk and have a nice time. And I also gave my daughters handmade gifts. I actually sewn some of mittens from my Tuva mittens pattern, which is a sewing pattern that I sell, that I lined with fleece. And they said, my oldest daughter said she had tried it now in minus 14 degrees Celsius, and that was the cutoff. That they were not getting cold until that, which I think is a very good.
That's a good review.
That's cold. Trust us, that's cold. Yeah.
But that's a nice, such a nice gift, and handmade as well. That's a really nice thing.
Mm. And how was your holidays?
It's been really good. It's Christmas Eve we spent here actually in our house, and my husband's family came here, and we had a big celebration together with them. And then I went with my kids to Finland after that, a few days after that, and I spent almost a week with my family. So it was really, it's been very nice, very chill, so nice to just spend time with the family. But I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty sweet to drop off the kids, or my husband does, get them dropped off to daycare at school, and go back to, sitting by your computer, drinking your cup of coffee, and just like, no, like holiday with kids is just.
Yeah.
Holiday is a wrong term. It's not nothing relaxing about that. But it was well needed for everyone to just be home and to have a couple of days off without time, like scheduled time rushing out the door. Like, so it was nice, but nice to come back to routines again.
Yeah. I think both you and I, we strive in routines, right? It's easy to think like, oh yeah, it's so nice to have nothing planned and everything like that. But there's also a very comforting thing when you have like very specific plans, and the day has a specific like schedule with everything. So I totally get that. And I remember that also when my children were small, it was kind of overwhelming to think about how am I going to entertain these kids? I mean, it sounds. I maybe like, how do you? Yeah, but it is.
Yeah,
it
and
is
it's
tricky.
a fine line between, like, it's a teeny tiny line between being overstimulated, understimulated, and just like finding that sweet spot. And I mean, to just be home and chill. Like, no, it's not. It's not working. We need to get out, go somewhere, do something, then come back home. Then we can chill a little bit. But yeah, just staying at home is just not. It's nice to be back again to routines. But how work-wise, did you do any work during holidays? Or did you have some days?
Of course I did, because that's how I roll. Also, of course, my children, as I mentioned previously, they don't live home anymore.
Yeah, you don't need to entertain them in the same way.
No. I mean, they were home for several days, but they wanted to hang out with their friends and do other stuff, and hang with their dad and his family as well. So it wasn't like that intense. My holidays weren't like that socially intense. I think that when you have like a big family and children at home, so I did work.
Is it on the jeans course?
Yeah.
Tell us all.
Yeah.
How is it going?
Yeah, no, I will say it's going really well. I mean, of course, it's taking a massive amount of time, and I've been working on it pretty much daily for bits now. But I think I'm about 60 to 70% through now, so I definitely feel confident that I will be done by the end of the month, which means I will be able to launch it sometimes in February or beginning of March. It's like a lot of admin stuff behind the scenes, but yeah, it's actually happening.
Nice.
And I'm also like halfway through my leave of my day job as well. So I'm like, I'm going to need to start working on a book as well. So as always, I'm always like, everything takes so much time.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
but I'm so happy. Yeah.
Your to-do list, when it's like, now I have infinite amount of time. It's like, no, you still work, like, there are still only 24 hours during a day, and you kind of want to sleep and do other things as well besides working. So, I mean, there are limitations.
Yeah, you gave me good reality check a while back, right? Because you only, you have more time, but it's not like you have endless amount of time. I mean, I went from working at my day job for 20 hours and or maybe 25 hours a week, and then now I have an additional 20 hours to work. So it's not like I'm gonna crank out like a massive sewing course and a book, and especially considering the fact that I'm doing everything myself. And I had like a pretty encouraging chat with my studio colleague Oscar this weekend, because I was there, Saturday and Sunday as well working, and he was there as well. And he was like, yeah, but you have, and I was like, I'm so tired. And he's like, yeah, but you have to remember, you're doing like 12 people's job in one person. I mean, you're like taking the photos, you're writing, you're editing videos, you're recording the video, you're an influencer, you're a graphic designer, you're an illustrator, you're doing all the admin work, and you're having a podcast. And I'm like, yeah,
and then the sewing, right. Didn't even mention that.
Yeah, and then not to mention the sewing, and it's pointed like at my sewing space, and you do all that as well. And I'm like, yeah, when you say it like that, maybe.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It's like, all the task switching that you have to do every day because you're wearing so many hats, and you're also like producing content for so many different channels, and you're doing this as a one person, like, and you run your own like publishing company as well. I mean, I publish my own books and everything like that. So. And I was like, yeah.
When you put it like that, yeah. And just the fact that, like, editing videos, I've never done that. I barely can even produce a reel on Instagram. Like the technology is just like, I don't. So for you to produce videos, that's just like amazing. I think it's because there's so many technical aspects behind that, and to make it really, really nice as well. And I'm gonna, in a future episode on this podcast, I am gonna demand that you show us a little bit of snippets from the video app, because I so wanna see it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. We're definitely going to talk more about it, and I'm going to give you more behind the scenes as well, because I'm really, really excited to show it. And I think I also figured out a really great format. I first thought, okay, this course is going to be so many hours, but now I figured out a way of being very succinct. I mean, where you're like to the point, like very. So I managed to like really put everything in like very bite-sized chunks. So it's going to be super easy to follow, with lots of like graphics and instructions, and it's going to be like a total experience. And so I feel really proud about the format now. I think within like for each section it's only about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's just going to be straight to the point. And I think I have so much like extra tips that, even outside of my book and the scope what I've done before, because things that I've just realized during my years of sewing jeans. So I feel like this is going to like elevate your sewing skills. I think in a way, I personally think it has so many like aha moments. I think as someone's getting the course, it's going to be, oh, that's such a way easier way of doing things that I hadn't even thought about, or I haven't seen in other instructions for sewing jeans, and being able to show that visually in the way with the video and the moving graphics, and I've done animations. It's a whole thing. I mean, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole production.
It's a whole production.
It's completely different things that you can show with photos, with illustrations, videos, and then talking as well. So when you are mixing all those things together, I mean, it's a completely different way of learning. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, thank you, and I'm very excited to share more about it for sure, and we're definitely going to talk more about it. So Malena, what's the status of your stuff? Have you been working on something for Hazelhen?
No, nothing. I've been on a holiday, so I watched or like scrolled in Instagram a lot, but nothing productive done at all during the holiday, and I didn't have any like goals or plans or to do anything as well. And now I'm back also with freelance work, so I'm busy there. But one little update, I received a package as well before New Year, and it's actually my desk lamp that I don't encourage people to buy a lot of stuff, but I've been thinking about this to buy something light for 3-4 years maybe. So now during Black Friday I was like, I've seen so many ads on this specific lamp, and after the 15th time that I saw it, I was like, okay, now I'm gonna buy it. So now I have amped up my studio space or my little desk at home with a proper light. And if you're watching the film now, I'm gonna turn it off. I have it from the side now. I'm sitting towards the windows. I have better lighting there, and then it's a desk, like a desk lamp, basically. So it's not like a ring lamp that you put on, because I didn't want to have that, because then it's gonna take so much space, and I wanted to have a nice clean design that I could also use as a desk lamp, basically when I'm working. So now my excuse that I'm not filming more content of myself is like, I need to decorate the background a little bit better, because now it's just like shelves with toys crammed in there. So I'm like constantly making up more excuses. Why not film more content? But I'm getting there. Now I can take a nicer picture with a proper lamp at least. So that's one thing that happened.
Yeah, that's so nice. There's a nice glow when you switched on the light. You get this nice soft glow, and you wouldn't even think that we were in the depth of the grey winter here, because you get this like really warm, soft light. And I hope that you will post a picture of this desk light as well on our Instagram account, Stitching Tales Pod.
Yeah, I can do that, and like it has really nice like settings as well, like brighter,
is that
less
a remote
bright
control?
Yep, absolutely.
Wow.
And you can also like change the how to say,
the
temperature
warmth or the
of the
temperature?
light. Yeah, exactly. You want more blue light or yellowish light. So it's so far so good. I'm really happy with it. And it's if anyone wonder, Geneon Space, I think it's called. I can post a link on it. It's not, I bought it, it's not commercial, like it's an advertisement or anything, and no partnership there. I bought it for my own company's money. So, but yeah, so far so good, and it looks nice. I think that was like my biggest like hesitation with all other lights. It was like they were so huge, and like I can't have this on a desk, otherwise it's just gonna stand in a corner, and to take it out, it's just you're not gonna do it then. But no, this one can be there all the time. So so far so good. Maybe next investment will be proper, how do you say, headphones? No. Yeah. Because these are like dropping out all the time when I'm wearing them, and it doesn't look so podcast professional to use these like cheap small things in your ears. So that's on my next to-do list. Maybe I'll invest it in this time pace that I usually think about it and then buy it. Maybe in 3 years I will buy something.
Stay tuned for an update on
Malena's, don't hold your breath. But yeah,
headphone situation. Maybe in Black Friday 2025. Maybe we should help Malena. We're going to help Malena remember that she needs to invest in herself.
But that's good. Like every year, maybe something new.
Yeah, you're very moderate that way. I mean, it is true, because I've been doing all this kind of stuff. It's just like with sewing. I mean, sometimes people, how many blah 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 do you need for sewing? But it also is about removing friction that makes your work easier. And so sometimes making those investments, like getting a good light, for instance, or as I also have this magnifying lamp, which has been extremely helpful, which I keep on talking about all over the place because I love it so much. I mean, these kind of things, I mean, if you do the right investments, it's definitely going to be extremely helpful, I think, for your like workflow and your experience, regardless of what you're doing, such as, investing in good equipment. I mean, having a decent computer and all this kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, it helps. I mean, it's the same because we invested in decent mics as well when we started doing this podcast, because we kind of knew that if the audio is like super off, it's going to be a bit of an ear sore to listen to. And we definitely want to provide, a decent experience for you listening to the pod as well, because, we want to make sure that it's a nice experience to listen to us without any like weird sounds or yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just when you look at how they do it in the in factories, the suppliers, I mean, they basically have a specific machine for all the different steps. So why do you need so many sewing machines? Yeah. Well, because they do different things. So yeah, it's not a strange thing to buy more equipment that does specific things. That's how they do it. That's how they can be more productive and really efficient. So yeah, of course we can invest in our hobbies. That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's totally fine, absolutely. And usually, I mean, the limits are usually the budget and the space, and of course, you know, you have to be mindful of your purchases, I think. But yeah, I totally agree. It's the same, you know, investing in a good quality sewing machine. I think that's a no-brainer in my book, because you know it's the same way. You want to have something reliable for sure. And that's actually, if speaking about purchases, I will probably do this purchase. I've been putting it off, but it's also because I would like to, you know, as a future project, to update my book, Master the Cover Stitch Machine, and also add this to my. I also have a cover stitch course, which is called Cover Stitch Success, but neither my book or my course covers what is now a popular feature on the newer models of cover stitch machine, which is the top cover, which is the 5th thread. So it provides this extra loops that looks very professional when you're hemming. It's the same technique that's used in the garment industry. And so that's probably what I'm thinking about doing now, to upgrade my cover stitch machine so that I can do more content with this function as well, because I think it's going to be the standard on all the machines. But it's a big investment, and I've been putting it off, even though I can, you know, have it as a business expense. It's a huge investment. So and you know, getting a good cover stitch machine it's pricey. I mean, so it's always good to like really think about it for a long time, and also wait out and, you know, read reviews. And sometimes when there's a new function coming out on a machine, maybe the first iteration of that machine isn't like the best thing. Sometimes, you know, the product development is very helpful. So maybe the 2.0 version of this whatever machine you're looking into might be a better suggestions, and also like getting well-established brand names. And if you can get it used, I think it's a good investment, because, you know, sewing machines, if they're taken care of, they have a really, really long shelf life. I mean, I have a Bernina, my main sewing machine, or my only sewing machine. It's from 1989, so it's going on 35 years right now, and it works like a charm.
Yeah, Bernina, I swear by my Berninas. They are the best machines, so really investing in. And just also like, it's going to be so much easier when you have proper machines, because cheap machines, bad machines, it's just gonna be a hassle with the threads, and it's such a more joy to work with proper machines. But don't you have? I'm a little bit jealous here up in the north, where nothing, like no major fashion cities or anything is here. Don't you have any like Husqvarna or something, like collaboration for the future? Can't you like, you know, contact something?
You know,
I've been
in contact. I should say I've been in contact with a few brands, but I feel, which is something that's good to talk about, and I don't think I've talked much about this, but it's very, how shall I say, one dilemma with the sewing community is that it's not much money involved, and the kind of offers I've gotten and that have been discussed has not been monetarily. It's been basically, I can borrow a sewing machine in trade for writing blog posts and stuff like that. And I honestly feel like with my reach and, you know, my authority, I definitely feel it's a little bit uncomfortable, especially because you don't, I mean, first of all, I have to pay taxes on the sewing machine, and I also need to return it. And I mean, normally if you're asked to do a collaboration, if you're working in another field, you get like financial compensation, and then it's very clear cut. You pay tax for the compensation, and everything is very like easy to understand. And I felt the lot of times where brands has been in contact with me, and now I'm fading out here. So if you're watching the video version, I get direct
the sun is coming out.
Yeah, so I'm going to put the blinders down in a bit here, but so that's the dilemma. I mean, I've been offered basically like thread in order to do a collaboration or fabrics in order to do collaborations, and that's not how any other business work. I mean, that's not how it works. Because when you advertise, you have an advertising budget, and that's a monetary compensation. So it's very clear what is being, asked for and financially. So to me, I've not been active on trying to. Maybe it's changed in the last few years. I haven't really gotten any offers lately.
Now we have 100,000 subscribers to your YouTube channel, so maybe that's a bit more leverage.
Because I would definitely love to do some kind of collaboration with brands I respect and love. I mean, obviously, but I've been not overwhelmed by how much work that I'm expected to do for actually literally $0 or euro.
Yeah, and then it's a good thing to then not good enough, then I'm not going to take that offer then. And as you mentioned also, if you were, for example, gifted a sewing machine, then you still have to pay the taxes for that one. So you still have to pay. So then you want to get some kind of financial, you want to be able to send an invoice for marketing that machine, so you actually make money, like you just don't have to pay taxes for it. So it's a little bit more of a tricky situation. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something. It's good to talk about these things, and I totally understand that some people might think, oh, that would be my dream to get free fabric or free sewing thread, and I totally get that. If you're, this is not your business. I mean, you love to sew, and this is just a way of finance your hobby or whatever. But it's very different when you're running a company and trying to pay yourself a salary, and you obviously can't pay yourself a salary with thread. And as Malena says, you also have to pay tax on the thread, so that money has to come somewhere. And I think that's something that it's very different, if you're actually trying to run a proper business. It's definitely a different kind of thing. I will let you talk for just a few seconds here, Malena, because I'm actually fading out. I'm just going to throw down the blinders. But it's a very there's a bright light on you now. But
it's crazy.
My next question for you was how this year, what are your plans? So I can start with my plans instead while you are fixing the light. I mean, it's been a while since I released any patterns. I mean, last year I released the Malva t-shirt, a free pattern that you get when you subscribe to my newsletters. This year, I don't know if I'm a little bit maybe delusional, but I actually want to this year release. I want to release 2 new patterns this year. Johanna, Am I delusional or not?
No, you're not. Yeah, I mean,
no. The reason why it's 2 is bilberry top. I've been talking about forever. I'm starting to get to the point now, like I'm a little bit sick and tired of it. Like, so I need to make it priority so I get it released, because when I get like I'm not inspired by it anymore, then I'm also not gonna. You just want to rush it out then, and that's not a good thing. But because that's the point when you start to miss things. So I really want to release it. And the other one pattern that I want to release, the secret project that I've been hinting about. Now it's official, or like, what do you say?
It's public. It's official.
Yeah, it's public.
Yes.
It's public. Yes. Tauko magazine. I'm gonna be featuring it in the next issue. Issue. I'm losing my English words now. So that's that's really, it's my first time. How do you say, in any magazine or anything like that. So I'm really, really excited about. So it's and it's basically. So the bilberry top is basically a woven version of it, but also as a dress. So it's a little bit different details. Also, when you work with woven and jersey, you can tweak the details a little bit more on the woven version. So I mean, I have the pattern for the dress. It's called a Nipita dress, and now I mean, obviously, Tauko is gonna publish it. So they have like exclusive rights to the pattern, but then I can of course also sell it in the future. So I mean, I can't release it now anyway. I have a little bit of time, and like the reason also why I want to release it myself is that I mean Tauko have their own how do you say, their own size range.
Chart,
size chart and grading, and so I have done the pattern in the base size, and then they have done the grading for their magazine to suit their customers. And I mean I also of course want to be able to sell it with my own size chart, and we have a little bit of a different size charts. They have, for example, I think now it's 9 sizes, but the biggest sizes of there is bigger compared to my biggest size, even though I have 13 sizes. So they have bigger jumps in between sizes, but they can reach also a bigger audience because they have their biggest sizes is larger compared to mine. While mine, if you have smaller jumps in between the sizes, it's more easier to like find your actual like you don't fall in between 2 sizes as easily.
Yeah, you're the closest to your actual body measurements, right? Because you have smaller increments between each size, right? So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
easier to find something that is very close to your own body measurements, which if there's a larger jump, you might need to do more adjustments in order to get it to fit. So that's why the system that we have, which in the European system with huge, is usually just I think it's normally like, depending on some, it's just a few centimeters. In the smaller sizes, in a lot
like
of areas,
4 centimeters, and then in the bigger size, the jumps is 6 centimeters.
Yeah, so that's less than. So it's less than 2 inches on the lower part of the size range, and just above 1 inch or 2 inches on the upper range.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so nice. I love this system. I mean that it has these small ranges, because I feel like it's very easy to find something that you can base your size off. Especially when it comes to like fitted garments and stuff like that, it's incredibly useful. Yeah. And that's also why we do. I mean, in stores, for instance, it's quite common, for instance, with knits, that you have only like X small, medium, large, X large, XX large, etc. And those are bigger gaps. Whereas when we do our sewing patterns for knits, we use the same system. We both use a similar size system, just small. And that's why you can get, also with knits, you can get really nice fitting, because we work with such small ranges between each sizes, so it will look nice. And I think that's a big advantage of doing this instead, because we could have also done like the small, X small, medium, and yeah. No,
it's like really pros and cons with the different systems. For me, 13 sizes is like pretty much to work with as well, so it's like quite time consuming, so that's also why I don't have more sizes, unfortunately, compared to that. While since they have bigger jumps, they can also like go to a bigger sizes more easily. So it's really like pros and cons. Like both systems are fine, it's just you choose which one you want to work with. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see the actual magazine. And then, I mean, I have already graded the pattern according to my size chart. So I have the pattern. I have not made it into a PDF pattern yet, but I have like the file proper graded and everything. And you helped me with the sewing instructions when I sent it out to Tauko, because I was like, I can do this. I can keep the deadline if I get help with the writing the instructions. So thank you very much. Helped me with the sewing instructions. I have made illustrations for all steps, because I knew, I mean, I wanted to release this for myself as well, and then I want to have like illustrations of all the steps. For Tauko, I haven't seen it yet, but I guess, they only publish like, or include like illustration for more like the trickier part when it's because it's a magazine.
Not every single step is shown, right?
Exactly. But I want to have in my sewing instructions, I want to have illustrations of every single step basically.
Yeah,
so I have done all the illustrations. The text is done. The pattern is done. I just need to make it into PDF. And Bilberry, since it is very similar in like have very similar details, I can take the text a lot from Nipita dress and a lot of text from Malva t-shirt dress and just combine those two and rewrite it a little bit. So it's not like, I mean, I'm like 80% of the work is done, which, you know, time-wise is probably 80% is still left. But like it is possible.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally possible. I think first of all, congratulations to finally getting the magazine out, and it's out in the open, because we have hinted about this for, I think, was it about a year ago almost that you began doing it?
Yeah, if the deadline for like giving it to them was in May, something like that. So yeah, it was a while ago. So yeah, it's really fun to see it in real life now.
Yeah, and will you also be able to share some photos on our Instagram account on this episode of the? Have you gotten the? Yeah,
I
you probably already done it on your own, but definitely we're gonna post it on Stitching Tales Pod as well, because I'm sure that a lot of people are curious, and definitely also a plug for the Tauko magazine, because it's a really interesting, fun, and very like different type of sewing magazine. I think it's very editorially nice looking product.
Yeah, it's more like a coffee table book. Yeah, visually, like it's really nice looking. So yeah,
and it must be nice, isn't it, to find, because sometimes that's kind of what we struggle with, you know, ourselves, because we have such limited resources, and we can always drool about, you know, the nice packaging and the nice photos and everything that, you know, professionals are able to achieve, and sometimes we are not able to reach that kind of level with the limited resource. But it must be really interesting to see yourself in that kind of editorially polished content, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's so nice to, I mean, not having to sew the samples for the photo shoot, not having to deal with the whole photo shoot, not having to edit all those things, not have to create the layout and like everything. It was just like, here's my pattern, here is the sewing instructions, you do the rest. A little bit of me is like, ooh, but control freaky here. But no, but it is also their magazine, so it's also what they want to publish. So of course, like they should be in control of what they are publishing.
Yeah, because they are deciding the fabric choices and everything like that you would be able to, you know, control. Yeah. I can imagine it must be. Yeah, but also the way, you know, having to not having, as we talked about, you know, earlier in this episode, wear all these hats for once, you know, able to be just, okay, I've done where I excel at, and you do what you excel at. And
it has been so nice.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, no, so that has been really good. And I also saw that they had, I mean, they have obviously several designs, different designs from different designers. Helen from the Helen's Closet was also in this magazine.
Ooh,
so
nice
I'm
company.
in good company.
Yeah. And she too.
No, so I'm really looking. I'm definitely going to show the magazine when I receive a copy of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, my plans are 2 new patterns. Don't know when this is gonna happen.
Yeah, but you know what? I think this is totally doable, and especially, because we both know that once we get going with a certain thing, when we get the systems activated in our brains again, it's a pretty smooth process. So I guess the best way of doing this is kind of doing a lot of stuff simultaneously, so that you can just crank out. I think that would be the most efficient way of doing it, actually, that you do both like layouts pretty much close back to back, because then I think you will have much easier to be really quick with everything, because it's so top of mind.
Yeah, and they honestly, I think so similar.
They're also similar, and lots of overlaps, you know, with the instructions and everything like that. So I totally believe in you. I mean, it's just January. I mean, we can do we can do things. I mean, you have 12 months of doing this, and we're definitely going to cheer you on, Malena. I will do it, and all the listeners will do it, and it's really, really exciting because this is you released Malva Tea last year, right? But in your regular pattern collection, because that's a free pattern, you haven't done a release in a while. So I think that's also really nice to be, as you say, get it out there, and because that clears up so much mind space, because then you can move on to other things. Because I feel like, especially with the bilberry top, it's been, as you say, it's been many years of working on it, and so it's always kind of takes up space in your brain. And when you get it out, then you're free to be more creative and think about the next project. Because I feel like when you have those projects, it's hard to open up doors to other things because you want to get that finished first. So it kind of hinders your creativity in a way, I think, when you have this kind of long-term project that takes a long time to finish.
Yeah, and I mean the reason why it's not going faster because I have not put it on my priority list. It's not the top number one priority, and I do that because, well, I haven't put it there because it's just, I mean, I need to work in a sustainable way to not burn myself out and everything. Yeah. So that's why it has, since it's my own project, I don't need to put it on the priority list. I focus on, freelance work and those kind of things. But now I'm like, soon it's going to be on number one on my priority list.
Yeah.
We'll see how that will happen. I mean, I still have, well, basically, I'm more or less booked the whole spring now, 100% with freelance work, but somehow.
I know that, because you're so efficient. When you can start working, you're so incredibly efficient. I mean, you're such a workhorse, and you're so structured and everything. And I've seen you, because we've known each other for many years now, and I know that when you get going, as you say, when you decide to make it a priority. When things get on my priority list, number one, then it happens. But I have chosen not to put it there at the moment. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Yeah, so do I. I'm totally confident and so excited to you, because I mean, it is rewarding to be able to release stuff sometimes, because sometimes we feel like we're standing still, but behind the scenes, as you say, sometimes we don't have the bandwidth or time or energy or whatever to do all the things that we would like to do. It's just the way life is. But it's so nice when you decide to do it, as you say, Malena. I think that's probably one of a good, how do you get things done? It's basically make it a priority, right? Yeah. I mean, that's like this very simple secret. Yeah. I mean, nothing will be done. You will never find that pocket of time and be like, okay, now I'm going to work a little bit on this. That's not how it works.
No, you can do what you prioritize. Yeah. But you can't prioritize everything, so you have to choose.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same with me, the jeans course now. Yeah, it's an intense working, but that's because I've made it my priority now. That's what I spend the majority of my work week right now, because honestly that's the only way I'm going to finish this course. I mean, because I've decided now is the time, it has to be done. And it's also been several years of me talking about it.
That's going to be so nice to, and I mean, if you say just in a couple of end of this month, next month, you're close then.
Yeah, I'm close. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any this year for you? What are your thoughts? Yeah.
So I have lots of different thoughts, and I think again, as I mentioned, after this, I'm going to start working on our books and doing the layouts and all the instructions and everything like that. That's going to eat up, I think, most of my year. But overall, I keep on struggling with getting a good system, because I have to wear so many hats. And when I get into these big projects, I kind of let everything else slide, as in marketing and having a good social media presence and content creation. So I'm actually having I kind of figure out a good system last year that I started to being pretty consistent about, and I'm going to bring that up as well. So apart from finishing the jeans course, getting started on the book, being basically just consistent with content. And I won't be able to do everything every week, but I would love to start doing live streams again on YouTube, talk about sewing. For several years I did monthly live streams on a Sunday, the last Sunday of every month. That's just like with this pod, it's such a low stake entry. I mean, if I'm doing a YouTube video, it's basically a day or two of just working really hard on that, and that kind of eats up most of my work week. So if I would be able to do more of that kind of like, so my goal is basically to be more clever about the content. How can I do one piece of content in an efficient manner that at least moves the needle, which I think, for instance, this pod is a good example of this. This isn't too much work for us, and that's why we're being able to be so consistent with it. I mean, if we had like a higher production or guests and things like that, it's going to be a whole different animal, and we might not be, we might burn ourselves out, but now we have a good format, which is why we are able to be consistent. So my goal basically is to figure out good systems for my content, basically.
And is it YouTube then you want to like focus on, or is it Instagram as well, or?
No, I think YouTube is definitely where because I noticed that when I slack on YouTube, that's where that kind of hurts my traction more than Instagram. Yeah. So, and I need to set a decent schedule for myself, so I won't be able to publish weekly videos anymore ever, I think, but I will be able to do live streams, I think, for sure. And I will also try to do more denim content, obviously just as a marketing vehicle for my course. So I'm going to repurpose some content as well. So right now I'm not like a big, I think honestly just getting the video course out and, getting a good start on the book. I think if I'm able to do that in 2025, as I'm also going back to my day job in 3 months. So I think I will be very proud of myself. And also this is actually the 10th year celebration of me restarting The Last Stitch.
Wow.
Yeah. Because that feels like so reward. I think it's been 10 years. I began blogging again in 2015. In I think in August. I think I'm going to go back and I'm going to have a little bit celebration. So yeah, and I started my blog in 2008, and then I went on a hiatus due to breaking my wrist, and then that short hiatus turned into a 3-year hiatus. But now I've actually been consistent for 10 years, which I definitely feel is cause for some kind of celebrations. Yeah,
definitely. Wow. So, 10 years. It's a long time being productive on a like regular basis. Definitely.
Yeah, it is, and not burning myself out like that, and not quitting. I think that's what I'm most proud about. That I've actually kept this going and not been like. Of course I have a period when I've done less, but I feel like, I've published 4 books in this and hundreds of blog posts, 200 YouTube videos, 1 sewing course and 1 more underway, and this podcast we've done over 40 episodes of now, and I've released maybe 8 or 10 sewing patterns. I mean, it's been a lot. When I say it like this, it's like, okay, yeah, I've done okay.
A couple of things have happened.
A couple of things in that decade.
Do you have any sewing plans?
I do. I'd love to sew more. I love to sew more. Yeah, I definitely want to make more jeans, because I have lots of denim fabrics, and I did like this really cool designer denim inspired. If you go back to the Stitching Tales pod Instagram account, you can see what I did there, and also of course on my own Instagram account, Last Stitch, and it was such a fun project, and it really, really, and also now that I'm editing the jeans course, I get so inspired to do stuff. So I definitely want to make more jeans this year for myself, not for content primarily, but just for myself. So that's one of my big things that I definitely want to get started sewing more jeans and trousers in general. I think because we did this a series on sewing trousers or sewing pants last year, and that also got me really like into doing, also figuring out for content even better, like showing how tutorials for how to do this kind of stuff, because it is tricky, and I feel like now I'm in a good place to show really good techniques. So I'm very excited to talk more about that as well.
That sounds good. Yeah, because trousers, they can be like so like tailored details, like so many small things that like really elevates it, and it could also be your Vita trousers that are like super quick sew in knitted fabric that are just so comfortable to wear. So it's good to have those palette cleansers in between as well.
Yeah.
That are just quick sews, and then going for those more detailed garments as well. That sounds like a good mix.
Yeah. And you have any sewing plans or?
Yeah, for the bilberry top, I have already sewn 2 samples for not fashion shoot, but for taking pictures. I really don't like the colors of neither of them. Like I really like the fabric, but then when you see them in different light, it was like they look like prisoner blue, dark, like really like washed out, not nice. And the other one is like pink, but not like a dusty pink, really nice. It's more like piggy pink. So I'm like, I'm thinking
Prison
still
blue and piggy pink, the trend colors of 2025.
Yeah,
Never forget. You heard it this first.
I'm still gonna give them to my friend Malena. She's taking all my like professional pictures, and I'm like, can you do some magic with it? Is it gonna look better when you're like outside in proper light, or can you just do them black and white if nothing else? So yeah, I definitely need to take more, sew more samples. Also for I want to create like sew along blog post as well, so take pictures for that. And I also have there is a print textile designer here in my city that I want to reach out to and use some of her fabrics for it, so to make some printed styles as well. So definitely some of those samples, and also some samples for the Nipita dress. For same, taking nice picture for content, and also for sew along content, and I think that's for the next 3 years. So we'll see.
Sewing samples, not your favorite thing, right?
No, I do like this is like the bad thing when you work with your passion. That doesn't feel like proper work for me. Like it feels like I'm wasting time, which is not true. I'm still working, but you have that rush sense. Like it should be quicker. This should happen more faster. So I'm always a little bit stressed when I'm do those things, which is. It's just a mentality thing for me. Like I need to shift my mentality when it comes to that, so I would enjoy the process more. Maybe I would even do it a little bit more then. But yeah, sewing samples. That's gonna be my if I sew anything, that's gonna be my main focus.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of, there's some pressure as well when you're sewing samples. There's a lot of things that you have to nail. Everything from fabric choices, sewing techniques, because this is not the time to skip stress out, because you have to be quite meticulous, because you want to make sure that the samples are the best they can be. They are the marketing vehicle.
Every single step as well, and keep that in mind.
That's why it's so exhausting as well, because there's so much pressure, and you so if you don't, and then you forget the photo one step, and it's going to be a hassle. So it's not like. It's not sewing for joy. Sewing samples is a very different experience. I totally agree with you.
But now I have light at least. So
good light.
One step forward.
And also it helps, I think, when you're sewing, you're doing repeated like garments. So for instance, when I did the Vita pants, I think I sewed 3 or 4 garments, basically back to back. And so every time I kind of like was able to like figure my workflow a little bit better. So I was doing photos for just one of the samples for the sew along, but it was so, because then you're like you're able to fine tune your process for every garment, and so all of it gets easier and easier for sure. But yeah, it's definitely what I find help as well is also that I like to, like, as with fabric choices and stuff like that, I kind of like to visual the complete look, and I try to like think about how this is going to look so good on when it's photographed, and that is going to be like my reward, getting the finished photos. And so there's the road to that goal is not always pleasant, but the end goal is to me very rewarding, and to have these nice photos that you were able to pull off, and you can use these in all type of situations, and that's what I find like the reward at the end of the tunnel, when I'm also stressing over sewing samples and all the time that it does take to finish them.
Yeah, and that's why I love to give the samples to someone else, and somebody else is taking the pictures, and then you fall in love with your garments a little bit again when you see someone else's pictures of them, because I mean, she is obviously really professional and does it amazingly. So you don't have any of that. You don't see all the flaws that if you have done it yourself, you were like, yeah, but that's not perfect. That's not exactly what I wanted. Like, when somebody else does it, yeah, you don't have those eyes on. And I mean, obviously, she's a lot better than me on that. So the end result is a lot nicer.
Yeah, it is. It's like with everything, getting that nice product and with a fresh eye and everything like that. And I also always find like, because sometimes I'm so hard on myself, with sewing samples and everything. I'm like, did it turn out well? And then when I see the finished photos, I'm like, that turned out pretty good. I think I'm pretty good at this anyways.
Yeah, and I mean, if you can see the sewing errors, you're standing too close.
Yeah,
like back away. It's a picture. Yeah. It's like still gonna be a little bit more of a distance. You're not looking at it through a magnetic eyes. Like you have a little bit of a distance. That's always good.
That's always good, and it's the same with the garment that are made professionally as well. I mean, there are some stuff, some stitching that might be a little bit off and everything like that. But who's going to examine that? And we are just showing the finished product, and the most important thing is just to get the fit and everything like that, right? Because you have to, so that people can get a good idea on both the right fabric and the right fit. I think those are the most important thing. That's where you get the idea of what your actual garment is going to look on your body. I think that's the more important stuff for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So sometimes if you haven't like finished the seam on the inside 100%, because you're not going to look inside the garment of a sample. I mean,
yeah, no, that's so true.
Yeah. So, but we are always a bit hard on ourselves. I think that's kind of comes with doing what we are doing. Yeah, this was an episode all over the place, I think. But hopefully, if you listened, you have stayed with us for over an hour now, because we have talked a lot about stuff, everything, ranging from what we did over the holidays to big plans for 2025. So we're very excited. And we're definitely going to try to follow up on all the stuff that we are doing. And I'm sure we're going to figure out some other things that we want to do as well this year, because we always do. So we're very happy that you have wanted to follow us along on our journey of running sewing business and all that goes into that. And as we mentioned previously, just drop us a note on any of our channels, Instagram, YouTube, on the comment section on your podcast player, if you want to hear something, any topic that you want us to address, because we love to get suggestions for sure, and questions. We love to do that as well. Yeah, I think, was that about it, Malena? Or do you have any final words as well?
I mean, clearly we have things to talk about, so I'm really looking forward to this podcast season.
Same. All right then, thank you so much for listening. I am Johanna Lundström.
And I am Malena Hjerpe. Bye bye.
Bye bye.